Welcome to Main Street Moments. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. All right, there's been a lot of drama with the vloggers this week, and there's also some other news involving Disney and Universal Orlando that we're going to talk about. But JoJo and Kyle Palo got involved in a bit of a scandal, which we're going to share with you right now. And this scandal is a big deal because it really could put at risk the future of all vlogging and live streaming at Universal Orlando. And what had happened was this. There's what I think is what looks to be the most awful attraction ever at Universal Orlando has made its way there. And it's this new Villain Con Minion Blast. And the controversy about it is this. Universal Orlando does not have as many people vlogging it as Disney. And it's not because Universal isn't popular. Universal Orlando is difficult to vlog because they don't let you vlog on most any ride. Mm-hmm. And that's a big problem. Plus, they play a lot of copyrighted music throughout the park and everything else.
They have a lot of licensing with that's outside of their company, I guess.
And,
Disney doesn't have necessarily those issues.
Exactly. And, Universal Orlando, they're so strict about not vlogging, not filming on attractions.
And by the way, every vlogger knows this.
Oh, every
vlogger knows that you really cannot record on rides or attractions at Universal. It's known by everybody in the vlogger theme park
That's
world.
right. And Universal is so strict about not filming on rides, they will stop rides in the middle of them to tell people to stop filming. I've seen them do it many times on Jurassic Park right before the big fall at the end. They'll stop the ride and say, hey, put that camera away. And there's signs up on the rides.
Oh, yeah.
So anyway, this Villain Con Minion Blast opened up. And, of course, all the vloggers run over to Universal Orlando to check the attraction out, which is not even open really officially to the public. It's some beta screen test rehearsal they're doing. And I had not even heard of this attraction, quite honestly, until...
There's been a lot of build-up. People have been talking about it for a while.
Yeah.
From what I've seen, Minions are super, super popular.
Oh, yeah.
And they're a big part of Universal. And I've heard people talking about this for a while. I think they have a Minion-themed restaurant.
Yeah, that's new.
Is that there, or is that
that's
a different
just
park?
open.
So everybody loves the Minions. They're awesome from the Despicable Me movies.
Yeah.
So it's a huge license they have, or whatever, a huge product that they have that's very popular.
The new restaurant I knew about, but this really sad attraction I did not know about.
Yeah.
And JoJo popped up on my recommendations on YouTube with his 1.26 million subscribers. And
with his 15,000 views.
Yeah, and he had this video. I've been waiting to address this for a while now. And when I saw that, it seemed kind of clickbaity, and I almost didn't click it, but I took the bait and watched it.
Yeah.
And it was an apology for actually filming on the attraction Villain Con Minion Blast at Universal Orlando.
He was a little vague. We had to do a little bit of research and put some feelers out to some of our sources as to what exactly is the controversy here, because he's apologizing for something. He took a video down or took parts of out of a video he made.
Yeah.
So we had to do a little recon here to figure out what the hell is this really all about, because he was really groveling and begging for forgiveness.
So, yeah, and what JoJo had said is he had gotten some negative feedback from other YouTubers who took issue with him, and then he said, well, other people were filming on the ride, so I did it. So he had put the video up on his channel filming the attraction, even though it's not really open yet. It's this beta rehearsal, and there's a sign outside the attraction on the wall specifically forbidding video recording.
And everybody knows you can't record Universal rides anyway.
So, but there was a sign there that said, don't do it.
A big sign.
So he did it. He uploaded the video. He got a lot of negative feedback. Then he took the video down, deleted out the portions of the video that were on the attraction, uploaded that video, which is what you see here. This is him without showing the attraction. And then he did this groveling.
Yeah.
Kyle
left his video up.
Yeah,
Kyle did it. He left it up, I think.
Yeah. He did this groveling poor me video, blah, blah, blah. Now, Kyle Palo not only filmed on the ride, he kept his video up, okay? And Kyle doesn't seem to care. And I did watch Kyle's video of this attraction, and I got to tell you, this is the most pathetic attraction I have ever seen, not just at Universal Orlando, but any of the major Orlando theme parks. It looks like a game that should be in some cheap arcade somewhere.
To call it an attraction is a stretch. And I will say this. People are the reason JoJo deleted part of his video of filming, and the reason he's apologizing profusely is because apparently he got a lot of hate from his viewers in his comments and on tattle.life or other websites like that talk about vloggers, really giving him a hard time. People have even left comments on our Facebook about how he shouldn't break the rules and this. I understand that, but I think people should be more outraged at Universal for having such a crappy ride attraction. It is insulting to have that. So maybe steer your anger towards Universal more, because even though they weren't allowed to film it, it's nothing exciting. It's lame. I mean, it is so lame. Lame is not even the right word for how lame this is.
I would say they probably don't want people filming the ride because it's such a pathetic, embarrassing attraction.
It's awful.
They don't want people to know. And I want to thank Kyle Palo for keeping this video of the attraction up, because I will be sure not to waste my time going to ride this Minions thing. It's kind of like
It's bad.
It's a really poor ripoff of Buzz Lightyear from Magic Kingdom.
It's like the Toy Story Land ride, but you walk through it, and it's like very short.
You stand on a moving walkway.
Oh yeah, that's right. That moves really slow.
It's very, very strange. But here's the thing where it's serious, okay? And this is a big deal. We've talked about some of the different vloggers that focus on Disney, like Rick Flicks, and the Pew 2. Those are the two primary Universal Orlando vloggers. Yeah, what did I say?
You said focus on Disney.
Oh, no, not Disney. Universal Orlando. The two channels that focus primarily, I know there were others, but the two that are the top Universal Orlando vloggers are the Pew 2 and Rick's Flicks. And the danger that JoJo and Kyle have put other vloggers through is pretty severe, because Universal, if you remember, Adam the Woo is forever banned from Universal Orlando. And he was banned from Universal Orlando for filming things that he wasn't permitted to film. And he also had a ban from Disney World, which was lifted, but not the Universal Orlando ban. He can go to Universal Hollywood, but not Orlando. And I remember Adam the Woo did some videos on this. When he got in trouble both at Universal Orlando and Disney, it was for things that he had vlogged long ago, long time ago, and it finally caught up to him, and they trespassed him. And Universal doesn't play around for whatever reasons, whether it's commercial licensing with third parties outside of Universal, they don't have the rights to show things, I don't know. But when a vlogger goes in and expressly violates the do not record order that's pasted to the wall, like Kyle has done. I'm glad Kyle did it, because the attraction sucks. I'm glad. But he really, in a way, I'm not glad, because he's putting other vloggers at risk. And Universal could stop vlogging at Universal altogether over things like this. Especially, let me tell you, the Fast and the Furious attraction at Universal Orlando is an embarrassment. This makes that ride and Kong look like spectacular hot rides. It's that bad. And Universal, that didn't want this filmed at all, might be a little more angry about it than normal, because the attraction's such an embarrassment.
I think there's a lot. I mean, I was like really researching online and looking at comments, and I think some of the outrage is a little over the top. Okay, it's no secret I don't love Kyle and JoJo at all. I think they're, you know what I think. But I think the outrage is a little over the top for this. But at the same time, I think it's a little selfish for Kyle and JoJo. Now, JoJo did take it down and beg for mercy, which was weird. But I think Kyle, it's a little selfish to, like you said, to put other vloggers at risk of being banned. Because that is the kind of thing, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but that is the kind of thing that can make them crack down more on it. And trust me, JoJo and Kyle, they know they are not supposed to film. Plus, there's a sign, and people were really pissed about it. I mean, this is the kind of thing that can really hurt your channel. I know things have happened with Michael K. I won't get into. He made one mistake, and that was it for him. I mean, he really took a downslide. So I want to know in the comments what you guys think. Do you think that they should be burned at the stake and this is a horrible thing? Or do you think that the outrage is a little over the top? Or I'm kind of, my attitude is they shouldn't have done it. It's selfish. But at the same time, I think that some of the outrage is a little bit much.
Jackie...
I mean, it's just an attraction. It's a crappy attraction. But I do think that it was a little selfish of Kyle and JoJo to not consider other vloggers or how it can affect them.
Well, Jackie's super enthused on her vlog. If you go and watch that, she made a big deal saying Universal Orlando says that you cannot film in this ride. She even showed the sign.
So she's respecting their rules, which Kyle and JoJo clearly are not.
Well, what JoJo says in his apology video is he talked about multiple other YouTubers were upset with him. I would like to know who they are.
So they might be thinking like you're putting us all at risk.
That's right. And I'll tell you this. Although I'm grateful that I got to see this pathetic attraction through Kyle, it was the wrong thing to do. And I'm very surprised that Kyle has left his video up. Now, you mentioned Michael K.
Yeah.
And Michael K. has gone through a lot of weird changes. And basically his channel has become a faceless channel. And, he changed his channel to Journey Together, and what a lot of people say, he's engaged, and it's the journey that he is having with his fiance, or maybe they're married by this point.
By now. I don't think she's been on camera.
I've seen her hands a couple times.
Yeah.
But so this is their journey together,
right.
And Michael K. has gone totally faceless, but he's done something recently that's very different. He's not really doing the vlogging. He's doing, podcasts now, and if you look at his most recent couple of videos, you just got a still picture of Disney, a still picture of the Epic Universe, and he's just talking about it. And in his most recent video, he talks about the magic is gone, how Disney can get it back. And I think really what happened here is I think the magic's gone for Michael K, and he's projecting it onto Disney.
Oh yeah.
And this is the thing we talk about a lot. A lot of people that go to Disney all the time vlogging, they get burned out. I personally do not believe that Walt Disney World is meant to go to every day or even every week, or certainly multiple times per week. And when you do that, you can get burned out like Michael K. So I think he's projecting here, but I think it's interesting that he's going this podcast route, Michael K., and not even really doing the vlog.
I'll be interested to see the views he gets on there's nothing wrong. We podcast, and other people are now living in Diz, and Michael K. now they're doing podcasts, and I think that's great. I mean, I like podcasting, and I think it's wonderful, and I want to support people who do it. But I'm interested to see how people will react, because you're right. His channel went from him being on camera literally 90% of the time, and he used to do a podcast type thing, but he'd do it from his house. He would do a daily video of what's going on at Disney. Now he is MIA, and I can't help but think that's, his subscriber growth and his views are definitely not where they should be.
No, I mean, I always liked Michael K. I thought his vlogging was very good. Of course, everything went to hell when he moved to Florida and became a Florida resident. Then things got weird.
Yeah, he was like a crack addict.
But, Disney was his crack. But the thing about Disney is Walt Disney World is the most vlogged place on Earth.
I would say so.
And look at what happened with this ridiculous Minions attraction. Everybody went into every time there's the tiniest little thing that's new. They got a new ice cube over at some place. Everybody's there, right? Because they got to see the new ice cube or something.
Tim Tracker doesn't do that, which is good. He doesn't need to do that.
No, he does not. Tim Tracker waits till everybody else does it, then he strolls in.
Right.
But it's the most vlogged place on Earth. It's very difficult to vlog and get something new and get something unique. And a lot of the vloggers, I can tell, are getting kind of tired of her. Even Jackie, super enthused, is doing, she's married now, and her husband has a massive channel, which is a really cool channel. He's from the UK, and she does the parks a little bit, but she's kind of doing an Adam the Woo thing. She's traveling America. But anyway, so Michael K. is going podcast on us. And
tell us what you guys think about that. If you've listened to it, do you like it? Is it better than ours? No, I'm just kidding. It's okay. We want to
we know the answer to that.
We want to support all podcasters, But I could tell you, I'm sure ours will be definitely more interesting to listen to because we
That's
go,
right.
we go there.
That's
and,
right.
And Michael Caine seems very vanilla to me
Yeah.
in his.
Now I want to
from
talk
what
about
I've heard so
I
far.
want to talk about all this new stuff with Snow White. Now, out of the Disney classics, okay, the original Disney classics, Snow White's one of my favorite Disney cartoons.
Oh, yeah. That was like
And-
the first big movie thing that I
Well,
think Walt Disney did.
It was the first
Huge hit.
It was the first full length feature, and really
Animated.
Snow White is almost an experimental film
Mm-hmm.
because the things that he did and Walt Disney himself in that movie were unique at the time, and it's amazing. And I out of all of the Disney classics, if we're just sitting around, there's nothing on TV, we want to watch something before bed, I'll say, hey, let's put on Snow White. I like
it
Snow
holds
White.
up. It's really good.
Yeah, I like Snow White, and it's a very, very good movie. And it's getting a lot of controversy going on about it. But the one I want to talk about now is some photos have come out of the Seven Dwarfs, and they're like regular-sized people except one. It's one dwarf and then 6 regular height guys. And what had happened is this. Peter Dinklage, and I want to talk about this because Peter Dinklage, who I always liked on Game of Thrones, Tyrion Lannister.
He's a very good actor.
He's a very good actor, but he's also a terrible person. And Peter Dinklage, he came out and said the 7 dwarfs are an insult. And then he goes into all this stuff. And there was an interview done with a little person actor who talked about how Disney was going to have 7 little people play the dwarfs, and because of Peter Dinklage, they're not doing that now. All the dwarfs lost their jobs, and they got this new casting of it. And here's what I think happened with Peter Dinklage. Game of Thrones obviously is a massive hit show. I love Game of Thrones. That new sequel is very good too. And Peter Dinklage is actually really amazing in Game of Thrones. I love Game of Thrones, and I've watched every episode twice. And it was amazing right up until the finale was even amazing, how it ended after everything was over. But this is the deal with Peter Dinklage, in my opinion. I think Peter Dinklage wants to be the only little person actor. I think Peter Dinklage is afraid that if they cast 7 little people in the new Snow White live action, that one of them might become popular and he'll lose all the little people roles to this person, and he wants to have all the little people roles to himself. And I think what Peter Dinklage did was very self-serving, very selfish. And, actors who are little people, good parts in major films are few and far between.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Most,
especially now. I mean, you hardly ever see a little person in a movie or anything.
No, and if they are, they're in the background. Like,
Yeah.
there's one little person that's in the Pirates movies.
Yeah.
And
okay.
I've met that guy. I went to a convention not too long ago, a Comic-Con locally
Yeah, he was
here
good
in
in
Florida, and he was there. He's a pretty cool guy. And there aren't that many roles, and they're usually background roles. And you got 7 little people roles that are really classic
Like, he
roles.
would have been good in this movie because he was in the pirate movies, and they could have put him in this.
The little person from Pirates of the
Yeah,
Caribbean.
I don't know his name. And they could have put him in this movie as Doc or Sleepy or something. And here's the deal. I don't understand the outrage by Peter Dinklage other than what you said that
Yeah,
he's
what else could it
threatened.
be?
Because you have 7 roles of a huge major film that's going to be huge that could have gone to little people, and now because of his big mouth, they were intimidated by that, and they're so afraid, Disney, of people getting upset and
Yeah.
insulting them or whatever. Everybody gets upset these days. That they gave those roles to regular size, and one of the dwarfs is a girl, which I have no problem with, but they gave them to normal size people. And I know on that show, Once Upon a Time, the dwarfs were like short men. They were like 5'2", 5'3", so they were even kind of afraid.
Yeah,
then.
but that's different. That's not. They're actually have a live action Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs without dwarfs.
It's in the title. It's a German folk tale, German fairy tale, I should say, and it's in the title of the fairy tale, Snow White, I think, in the 7 Dwarfs. They have a ride at Disney World, the 7 Dwarfs Mine Train. So I don't understand all of a sudden why dwarfs is a bad thing and why they're so afraid of actually casting little people. I think it's a huge, huge mistake. People are all upset because Snow White's Spanish. I don't give a damn about that. Who cares? I'm just not into that racial stuff. That doesn't bother me. They can cast whoever they want as long as she's good in the part and pretty. Snow White has to be pretty. But this to me is really bothersome that they just did not do this. And I think I would love to see the little people community, because there is a community in Hollywood of little people that act and they're very good actors. I would like to see like this guy then back him up and go against
Right,
Peter
yeah,
Dinklage
rise
and
up against him.
say you don't speak for us.
Well, Peter,
who the hell are you?
Peter Dinklage, who cost 7 little people their jobs. In this picture, he's holding
6.
There's
they
one
did
little
put one,
person.
yeah.
Okay, 6. In this picture here, he's holding his Emmy. He's
Yeah.
afraid one might get an Oscar.
Yeah,
And,
or another, or be as popular as him.
He's got a big ego, and he's very petty, and he should be ashamed of himself, Peter Dinklage. Now, I wanted to share this article.
I agree with you on that.
This is pretty interesting. This is out of Breitbart. Desperate Disney prepares to sell off 1/3 of the company. Look at this. Disgraced Disney CEO Bob Iger put roughly 1/3 of the company up for sale, according to Bloomberg Business. According to the report, the sales announcement was a subtle but unmistakable one. Bob Iger made the announcement during a disastrous CNBC interview last week. By declaring the cable and broadcast TV assets non-core, the report says, Iger told the world ABC TV, the FX cable networks, National Geographic, and Freeform are all for sale. He's also looking for a partner for the failing ESPN.
I think that's a good idea. They need to cut those loose. They're not bringing
Well,
any revenue to Disney Plus at all.
Here's the thing with ESPN, which is a huge loser. Remember, they lost all that money off the NBA experience. They shut that down.
Yeah, that's a big disaster.
Bob Iger, if you've not gotten his autobiography, you should get it. Get it on tape. I got it when it came out a couple years ago, and you learn a lot about him.
Isn't he the one that required that acquisition?
Well,
these mergers. I think he did all of
these. He's acquired everything he's selling.
Yeah.
Now, Bob Iger used to work on the Wide World of Sports with ABC Sports, and when he was coming up with Howard Cosell back in those olden days. So he came up through sports, and he's a sports guy.
He goes way back.
So, so he's always had a thing for ESPN. But ESPN, I never really thought fit into Disney.
No.
It always seemed kind of an awkward thing.
I mean, does anybody go to the ESPN complex there at Disney World? Let us know if you guys even... I've never been there. I have zero interest in going there. And I think also what they want to do, if he sells ESPN, which might be smart, is maybe build some more affordable hotels on that, or build another fun area for people to go to, extension of something, put something else on that land that would be better.
The thing with Disney, okay, they've acquired a lot of things. Okay, they've acquired a lot of things, and they've almost acquired too much.
He did all that. He went on a buying spree.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of it doesn't fit with Disney. No. And, there's been a lot of talk lately about low crowds at the parks. And, we've been we watch a lot of Ron on the Go and Resort TV 1. And you could tell the crowds were lower over 4th of July than normal.
Oh, yeah, and people have been writing about it in the news.
But, the crowds might start to pick up because it's spreading like wildfire that crowds are low. And people are like, oh, really? And, back in the 90s, before 9/11, after 9/11 too, because people stopped traveling for a while. But before 9/11, like in the 90s, there were times when the parks would close regularly at 7 o'clock, and not for special ticketed events after. They just closed because you didn't have crowds. And people used to talk about, oh, you should go this time or that time because the crowds are lower. And for the last few years, there's not been a slow time at Disney.
It's happening now, though, because we know people that live there, and one of my friends from college goes there a lot, and she said that Animal Kingdom is actually closing an hour earlier some nights because it's so empty. Like, they'll be slated to close at 9, and they're closing at 8. And she's even noticed, because she goes to Epcot a lot for dinner and stuff, and she's even noticed that when she goes at night and stuff, that it's like it was back in the 90s, which I don't mind, but she said the crowds, it's really, really empty.
But since
this is summertime, usually it's the busiest time of year.
But since it's made the news, I think a lot of people will start going because they think it'll be low. Now, I haven't been going so much lately because it's not just the summertime in Florida, but we've been having a heat wave.
Yeah, it's just too hot.
And the heat index has been 105, 106 degrees regularly.
I agree. I don't know how Ron on the Go and Jenna and all these people and Tanya, I don't know how they and Josh live stream. Ron on the Go is there all day. I mean, he did say he was in Afghanistan and he's used to the heat, so that's true. He's in the middle. He's a veteran. So, but I don't know how those people that live stream walk around in this heat all day, because when you're there, Florida heat is different than heat anywhere else in the country. It is like you're like literally feel like you're in an oven, especially when you're at the park and there's no breeze. You're in the middle of the state. You're not on the ocean. Like we live near the ocean, so there's always an ocean breeze.
Yeah.
90% of the time, which helps. But at Disney, you're inside a park that's kind of walled in, and you've been there in the super heat, and you almost had a heat stroke.
Everyone's
couple times.
body heat surrounding
The body
you in the crowd.
heat. I mean, you literally feel like you're inside of an oven. It's
awful.
so hot.
Yeah.
I don't know how they do it.
Yeah.
Honest to God.
So I avoid the
Good
parks
for
a lot
them.
during
Yeah,
the summer
it's crazy.
because it's just too hot. But this idea of them selling things off, I'm happy about that because I think that they've acquired too much and they've kind of lost a focus on
They have.
They have too many balls up in the air.
They've lost their way.
And they're not focusing on anything in particular. So let us know in the comments what you think about everything we've covered. JoJo and Kyle's controversy with filming this attraction. Michael Kay going podcast, getting away from vlogging.
The Seven Dwarfs.
And Bob Iger selling off about a third of the company's assets.
And the big problem, too, they're having is Disney Plus. And I was talking to you about this today. I like Disney Plus, and I was so excited when it was coming out. But they don't, I don't watch it that much. There's certain movies I do watch. I love the pirate movies. I love The Incredibles. And I watch, we'll watch it like maybe once a week or something. But there's no series on there that I can get into. And I think that's the problem Disney is having. All of their series they have are for kids, so they're kind of limited.
Well, the Star Wars.
But they've tried, that too, but they've tried other series. Like
Ahsoka's
they tried to do the Turner and Hooch with
yeah.
Josh Peck. That didn't work. They've tried a lot of series that are just not catching on with people. And I think Disney Plus needs to really be reined in. It has possibilities. But the problem with Disney Plus, I think, is a lot of, it's mostly geared towards younger people. A lot of kids, have certain movies they watch over and over and over. Like our daughter had 3 movies she watched constantly when she was a little kid. And you can just, for the cost of Disney Plus, which is what, $12, $13 a month, you could just buy those 2 or 3 movies your kids love on iTunes.
Yeah.
And they can watch them as much as they want without a monthly fee. So I think that's part of the problem. But also they're not adding content that's drawing people. Like Netflix is super competitive. But like I said, Netflix, they can do Squid Game. But, Disney could do a show like Wednesday. Wednesday's a good show for the family. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that show. It's a great show. Tim Burton does it. He used to work for Disney. He's done movies for Disney. Why didn't they do a show like that? They could do a show based on the Haunted Mansion, or I don't know. They could do better shows, spend a little more money, get up the production value. The series and the shows, other than Star Wars, which some of them are not that great, but they can't put everything in the Star Wars basket. It's just not enough.
If it wasn't for the Star Wars shows, which most are mediocre, the Kenobi one was very disappointing.
Kenobi was awful.
Very disappointing.
I was so disappointed in that.
But if it weren't for the Disney shows like Ahsoka, the Ahsoka Tano show, I wouldn't even have Disney Plus. That's the only thing that keeps me. I mean, there's some movies I like I like The Incredibles.
Yeah, we
and
watched The
things and Snow
Incredibles
White.
last week.
But you're right. The handful of movies that we'll watch and rewatch, we could just buy on iTunes.
They just don't have good ideas for series. Like I said, like Wednesday is an amazing show, and we've watched it. Our daughter loves it, and that's a show that all ages can watch. And I don't understand why Disney can't come together and put together a show that's that good that gets people excited. They just have not had good content, and their movies haven't been good that they've been cranking out. So they got a real problem with their entertainment department for sure.
So listen, that's all the time we have this time. Let us know what you think in the comments. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. It's Main Street Moments. We'll talk to you next time.